Mostly I agree with this video, Gary, but on the religious aspect, see, I don't think that really holds because I think you're the one in the sort of religious attitude of you guys already know how it's explained. You don't need any more explanations. Okay, so that's how I see that. But basically, I think that the attitude you had towards Will in this video, I totally agree with. We are run by all sorts of things, but see, I want to focus on how you can use the will, even though you have just a little 1% influence or whatever it is, how you can use that over time with the method because you're clever to arrange the brain until it's all set up like dominoes. So yeah, you only can put a little energy in, but you only have to make things happen. Okay, but really, yeah, of course there's no free will, and I've been saying this the whole time. Go back for years, I've been saying the same thing. It's not really free, but see, people, when they say the will is unfree, it's just better just to contradict that. No, it's wrong. And to constantly say, well, what free means is that it has, a boundary. And maybe that last part is unfree too, but don't tell me we're going to assume it for reasons that don't really hold. That's my position. But more important than that is just what you said about it's about a battle of wills. The wills aren't free or unfree. That's not the way to think about it. There's willpower. There's strong and weak wills, right? And we impose right and wrong based on the goals of these wills, and we can see, oh, the weak wills could be right, the strong wills could be wrong. And there's a lot of interesting interplay, and it doesn't sort out all perfectly in the end with wills. And it's never supposed to. That's the part, the grain of truth I see in your philosophy, is that there's an inherent mess in that. But the will, we can set things up. We can take things that don't happen in nature, like magnets, and we can make refrigerator magnets for a nickel. We can arrange this world according to these right and wrong principles. And we're never going to find it perfect. That's part of quantum mechanics. It's part of skepticism. We're never going to find it perfect, but we can find it pretty good. You don't have to find it perfect to make it pretty good. You just have to make that distribution such that it's fitting something where you think the distribution is acceptable. Okay? And there's ways to do this because, like in nature, where that, in society, where that means that, oh, some people are going to fall at the lower end of the economic spectrum. What do? You either push the whole spectrum up, which we could do but never have, or you cut off at the bottom with social service and say, well, at this point, we'll just make it. You never have to go below this point. You cut off that by taking from the other part of the area in the curve. Now, the former is preferable, but the latter works too and has a certain brute force quality. Often, if you do that brute force thing, the whole thing moves up because it doesn't want to be truncated. The whole curve will try to move and get in the range. And then the people that are at the bottom end, they still live decent, have some vacation time, and so on and so forth. So you manipulate these things in probabilities, but you never have total power, but you also never have total submission. And this is the ironic thing. You fight for your rights. That's willful. So anyway, I love this video. To just bring in the other one. Yeah, Einstein, I love Einstein. He's one of my top heroes. So that's right. I'm not calling you an idiot. To call you an idiot for believing that there's something wrong with quantum mechanics would be like calling Einstein an idiot. But see, Einstein tried to make his own theory of everything to explain it, and he never could. For all we know, this was holding him back. If he could have lived 1,000 years, who knows what he would believe. Okay, so it doesn't mean you're an idiot, but it doesn't mean Einstein was right about this particular thing. He never made any headway, and he was familiar with it. He never came up with a hidden variable theory or anything like that. But it is true that he believed there would be some reconciled determinism. And I think the many histories approach, really reconciles this. And the thing is that in many histories, which is what the physicists believe, not the multiverse of many parallel universes with another you and a live and dead cat, it's not necessarily like that. The universes appear to split up, but it also only appears on momentary. Now, you might be able to stretch those moments out, but still, it's something like when glitches in the Matrix kind of a special effect. You're watching, and then suddenly there's all these scan lines, bzzz, and it buzzes for a second. Okay, it splits, and there's these parallel universes, but they don't get very far. They don't get very different. They tend to go bzzz and go right back together. Okay, just one little atom's worth of it. So in the low level of the universe, there's all this crackle of this little splitting in together. But on the top, it's all cohesive. Now, because this is true, you could build devices which keep it split up longer and do things like collect solar energy. But, you know, you could do this on the macroscopic level, like having a solar collector that got 98% of the solar energy and powered your house. You'd have to say that was macroscopic. But it's still molecular, right? But see, that's biology. We're macroscopic, but we're molecular too, in the sense that, right, we're all made up of cells. There is no living organism totally as big as ourselves that isn't made up of these tiny little cells. Life works, in other words, on that molecular quantum scale. Okay. But anyway, I agree with you. There's this struggle of willpower, and we're very constrained, and even more important socially, we're still slaves. We're enslaved in some sense. We're sort of well-treated slaves in the West and stuff, but there's sort of an essential fundamentalness of we're controlled. There's the manufacture of consent. We should talk about that, and I studied it at great length. How we are controlled, let ourselves controlled, how we control ourselves, how we control others and end up controlling ourselves, and so on and so forth. But we have this little visualization capacity, and it can make a little bit of a difference. And if we line it up, make the right difference, that can add up. And we've seen that. Okay, cheers. Thank you.